Welcome to this online training on developing a cross-border cooperation project. As you know, there are 7 key steps to preparing a good project. Let's take a look at the last step, definition of indicators. When your project design is completed, you'll have to think about how you will know that your project is delivering and achieving what was planned. To check this, you will need to use so-called indicators, or verifiable descriptions of your project's outputs, results, and impacts in terms of their quality, quantity, and time and place of performance. Defining indicators is an important step to specify more precisely what you want to deliver and achieve with your partners in this project. Impact indicators measure your project's long-term effects. In other words, how your project contributes to the program objectives. Ideally, they may be drawn from the program's result indicators, but please check your cross-border cooperation program strategy and requirements, because this may not always be the case. Result indicators measure the positive changes for your target groups, while output indicators measure the services, goods, or infrastructure produced or delivered by the activities. In relevant cases, it is important to include possibilities for disaggregation of indicators, for example, by gender. For the measurement to be meaningful, you will need a starting value, the so-called baseline. That is the value before your project starts and makes a change. You will also need a target value, that is the desired value of your indicators that your project wants to reach. During implementation, you will check the current value of your indicators to make sure that you are on track to reaching your targets. You will, of course, have to identify where and in what form you will get information on these values. This may come from internal project documentation, such as reports or scientific research, or from external sources, such as official statistics. In the previous videos, our partners, Anna, Boris, and Carla, designed their project's intervention logic based on sound analytical work. Let's now see how they define their indicators and sources of verification.
For me, this is a crucial part. It should show us whether we really have the same understanding about our strategy.
And it will tell us how successful we are during and after the project.
Yes, but let's see if we can identify information sources of sufficient quality.
Our partners start with the result level. The output level is often easier, and they don't believe that they will have serious problems with indicators here.
All right, let's talk about the excess use of fertilizer. How do we measure this?
For sure, there are no official statistics about this. The individual farmers don't even know, so how should we know at an aggregate level?
Let's first talk about what exactly we want to measure, and later about potential sources.
Right, so we measure the excess use of fertilizer. That should be in kilograms or in tons.
Yes, but I think just fertilizer is too vague.
Project partners often give in to the temptation to move on without becoming really specific with the help of indicators, sometimes because of time pressure, as this topic comes last.
Will we measure only natural fertilizer or also synthetic ones?
I think it should be both.
Really? I thought we were only talking about what is produced at the farms themselves and then used in the same place.
Well, from an environmental perspective, does it make a difference whether farmers use synthetic or natural fertilizer?
Not as far as I know. Even if the processes are different, both raise the level of nitrogen.
This is a good observation, but you still need to dig more. Your strategy is not about nitrogen levels, but about excess levels.
Yes, indeed. How do you determine what level would be enough?
The agricultural faculty has worked out a formula to determine how much nitrogen is needed.
Yes, but what if farmers don't know the parameters of this formula for their own land?
We can ask the university to perform a more precise study into this now and at the end of the project.
You see that the discussion on indicators is not just at the end of the strategy development process. It can also feed back into it by generating additional necessary activities, such as the university study.
I don't think we have the time given the application deadline.
Perhaps they can do an estimation based on their current knowledge now and do the precise study by the time we start with our activities, if we get the funding. This will give us a more recent baseline and therefore a more precise estimation of our project's effect.
Okay, let's do it like that. Now, what will our target value be?
Impossible to say if we don't have any baseline.
Our partners find out rough estimates from the previous year, based on which it is possible to calculate an excess use of around 15,000 tons of nitrogen annually in total for both sides of the border. It is decided to take this number as the baseline for this indicator. The scientists also indicate that the use of nitrogen testing could lead to a reduction of this number by 2/3. Our partners foresee that they will reach out to at least half of the farmers in both regions. On this basis, they set the target value at 10,000 tons.
Let's check if this indicator is specific enough. We have specified it qualitatively, only nitrogen, both synthetic and natural. Quantitatively, baseline and target values. We have a time frame by the end of the project, a target group, the farmers, and a place, the Rivala Alavia region.
Do you know about the RACER criteria for indicators?
Okay, let's try. Relevance is fine, as it is closely linked to the corresponding result. But what about the level of acceptance? Of course, we can formulate this together with the experts, but I would like to know what the farmers themselves think.
That is a good point. We should have a meeting with the board of the Farmers Cooperative. Boris, can you arrange this?
No problem. I will sit down with them later today.
Okay, I will try to meet farmers' associations also next week.
Our partners have the meetings, and it turns out the farmers would agree in principle, but would not like to do the testing early autumn, when the project is likely to start, as this is a very busy time. Besides, they wouldn't do any fertilization before March. As a result, it is decided to do the baseline study in February. In addition, the farmers agreed to provide data on their current use of fertilizer, which would provide a possibility to check the estimates by the university.
How about the credibility? Is our indicator easy to understand for non-experts? Could it be interpreted wrongly?
I guess it is quite straightforward. If we explain how it is measured, it should be quite easy, even for the general population. We could ask the regional newspaper to write an article on it if needed.
And I suppose the ease of monitoring is not a problem, especially since we have the nitrogen testing equipment to be purchased in the framework of our project, and the university to do the calculations.
How robust would you say our indicator is? Can it be manipulated?
Well, first of all, I would say, why would anyone want to manipulate it? The farmers have an interest in reduced use, and in any case, the university is involved in processing the data, which makes it difficult to manipulate.
Great! So our first indicator is RACER.
Our partners repeat this procedure for their other indicators and finally have identified indicators and sources of verification for all levels of their project intervention logic. Having followed the 7 steps of project development, Anna, Boris and Carla have now designed a sound cross-border cooperation project outline. On this basis, they can now elaborate their activity planning and their budget forecast, confident that if it gets granted, their project will bring concrete benefits to the cross-border regional area. Remains to fill in the application form in time before the deadline of the call. We hope you've enjoyed this cross-border cooperation online training, and we wish you lots of success in developing your project.